Hi, and welcome to the Adelaide Horror Podcast. It's your host, Zombie Joe, and today's episode is number 22. And I'm going to be talking about Shudder and their 1 year anniversary of Shudder being released in Australia this time last year on the 17th of August. Shudder finally came to Australia. I was very excited when it came out. I was a part of the mailing list. I still remember the initial reports that Shudder was going to come to Australia, the kind of from the different kind of horror groups on Facebook and the kind of buzz around that. So when it actually happened, I was one very happy little zombie, and so signed up for the year subscription, and haven't really looked back. I've picked some really great films. It's hit and miss, but there's minimal miss. Like it's been a lot of hits, so I had to pick which of my favourite movies I wanted to talk about tonight. And I'll also talk about some of the other kind of subgenre stuff that you'll find on the service, and some of the aspects of Shudder. So if you're thinking about it, if you haven't got it and you're thinking about it, hopefully by me talking about it, you make kind of it either lean you either way. So me personally, I've been enjoying it, and I can't complain about it. It's pretty good. I've heard that the US one is got more options, which is the case. It's the same as Netflix. So you got the American, Canadian, and Australian version, and those two across the pond seem to have a better choice in collection. But I don't mind what we've got. So I don't know, ignorance is bliss. But I like the kind of content that they've got at the moment. Given the time that I have. What I've got in my list is just enough, and that's been keeping me busy for a year. I still haven't seen some of the titles that are on my list on the service anyway. So it's probably a good thing that it's not massive with a huge selection, because I just wouldn't have the time to do it and enjoy it. So it's great. Cool. So basically, the two movies I'm going to be talking about that I really liked, that were the standouts, were the Mortuary Collection from last year. And this year's choice was Jacob's Wife with Barbara Crampton. Let's try that again. Holy shit. And Clancy Brown for the Mortuary Collection. Fuck me if I said Murphy Brown right then. I would have just closed the podcast and go, that's it, I'm over, I'm done. That's it. It's all over, Joe. It's been good. Come back. So anyway, so these are the two favourite movies of the thing. So what I'll do tonight, I'll do a bit of crypt keeping first, and then I'll just basically go through the kind of the Shudder LA, and that's it. So cool. So for crypt keeping, just before, in between the last episode, I had a snuck in a zombie bite episode, and that was the trilogy Fear Street 3 host special. Got in contact with Matt, the King of Goosebumps, and also Scott from Skullbrain TV, and also the host for the Old Pal Collector that you'll get on YouTube. So definitely check them out. Fantastic content on there, especially Skullboy and with the Skullbrain TV. Sign up to Scott's emailing list. If you've got kids, this is a really good kind of kids series, and empowering stories and encouraging. So it's very, very good to have a book series that kids can pick up and start reading again. It kind of reminds me of the book series that I would read as a kid myself, and now just doesn't really happen because of a lot of visual multimedia out there now. The kids are more watching rather than reading, so this is good to just kind of kick it old school with your kids and get them to sit down and read a book series that they can get into, but also has a really good meaning behind it as well. So definitely check it out. Skullbrain TV, or Skullboy as well, is the series. So look that up on your Google, or go onto Instagram and Facebook. You will find him on there. And King of Goosebumps, Matt, his Goosebumps swap and shop is down at Port Adelaide Markets. So definitely go down and check him out. Support the store. Buy some fantastic Goosebumps memorabilia. Like this guy, far out. the first time my first interview that I did for the show for Zombie Bite, I interviewed Matt with his Goosebump collection, and then when we went back in to shoot the Fear Street again, it was roughly a year since I came back to the house, and that room had just doubled with memorabilia from Goosebumps, and Scott and I were just looking around for the first kind of 20 minutes going, what the fuck? Like, oh my God, like I remember that, or oh my God, I didn't even know that existed. And we were just in awe. So while we were setting up the cameras and stuff and having a couple of pizzas and having a chat, we were just in awe with the stuff that Matt collects. He's very passionate about what he does. So I was able to get some great Goosebump memorabilia for myself. So it was really great fun getting together with the two other guys, and kind of collaborating and just talking about the Goosebumps and Fear Street in R.L. Stine. We were planning for it to go for 2 hours, so that was a bit of a shock. But hey, we're in the moment. We enjoyed talking about it, and we had a good time, and it was really great. And for the few hours before we shot the episode, we were just gelling beforehand, just having a chat and getting to know each other. It was really the first time Matt kind of hung out with us, so it was really good that we meeting that night that we gelled that well, and then we just kind of did the show. So this is my opportunity to say to other podcasts or whatever, I'd love to collaborate with you and have a chat about a horror series or horror movie that you liked or whatever. Don't be shy. Contact me on the YouTube comments here or my Facebook page, Facebook group, Adelaide Horror Podcast, Instagram. I'm on there as well. So don't be shy. Send me a DM. I'll be happy to collaborate and chat. It'll be great. It'll be really good to meet up other podcasts and kind of start building a bit of a network up. That would be great. So cool. So that's that for Crypt Keeping. I've got the. I think you can kind of see it in the corner. I've got my birthday Lego, which is the Haunted Mansion. I've been doing some Lego builds in between my spare time, but this is like the biggest kahuna that I've done. So I'll see how I go with that. I might shoot a video. I've got it on my Facebook page. I shoot little movies, me building different kind of Lego inspired things. It's great fun. I enjoy it. So that's kind of something I do while I'm passing the time away in the crypt. So in between jobs. Awesome. Anyway, so let's get cracking on the Shuds and let's do this. So, okay. So Shudder, how it basically is set up is like Netflix. So you've got your top bar has got collections, movies, series, Shudder TV, and My List. So as you click on a movie that you'd like, the little My List button will come up. You press on that and it adds to your list, and then you can watch it later. So the way this is kind of set up is you basically pay $65 for the year, and you've got a year subscription, which I think works out cheaper than most other streaming services because they've got a whole collection of different genres on that streaming service. It's not specifically horror. This is specifically horror, which is good. So what you're actually paying for and what you're getting is actually matched. That's just my opinion. I think it's good in that sense. So you've got the newly added section, and that just basically, like Netflix, it's like all your newly added horror films that have just recently come out for you to check out. And it doesn't necessarily mean like new is in the year new. Like it could be like newly added and it's a movie from the 70s. Like it's just like a newly added horror title. So and some of them have been really good. Some of the horror movies that have popped up that were older titles I haven't seen yet or haven't thought of in such a long time. So when that pops up in my reel, I'm thinking, wow, like I'm definitely checking that out. So my list is getting huger and huger, so then you've got your continue watching section, which basically is, you just pick up where you left off and what you're last watching. You've got your list, your My List section. and then you've got your binge section, which is your TV shows and all that. Then you've got your good scare kind of section, so it's all the kind of scarier. I think it goes on the rating of people liking it, and they deem it to be scary. You got your neo slashers, which is all your slasher, ultra violent, super blood and gutsy movies. You got your possession movies, so your Satan kind of devil possession films, special encounters. So it's kind of more ghosts, demons kind of thing. You've got your monster mash, so you kind of your creature like vampires, werewolves, fucking Hellraiser fits in this, so kind of, yeah, they've kind of chucked it all over the place, what they deem as a monster, like, kind of thing. And then you got your slash asics. Oh, fuck me, I still can't say it. I call it slash tastics, so I'm just going to say that, but that's not what it's called. Like, yeah, dyslexia. Like, anyway, so that's all your classic 70s and 80s titles. You know, it's got Slumber Party Massacre on there, Tourist Trap, Terror Train. It was funny to see Tourist Trap on this one, because I was actually watched it on Universe 2000. What was the show that takes the piss and they commentate through the I'm blanking on the name now, but you know what I mean. It'll come to me. But anyway, they did the rip of this movie, so I watched it in that and was kind of pissed myself through that. It was quite funny, all the commentary. So to sit down and actually watch Tourist Trap without the commentary, like, it was good to do. They chucked in the Puppet Master series on this one. They've got Maniac, the original one, and then they've got a couple of Halloweens, but not like the first 1 and 2. They've got the kind of drib drab 4 and 5 on there. So yeah, it kind of breaks up. You've got, and then there's a section where you click on it, it's Shudder TV, and you just basically pick whatever movie's on. You just sit and watch it, like, whatever. And if it takes your fancy, you watch it. If not, you just move on. And so it's set up in that way. So there's always something for you to check out that you would like and that you'd be interested in. So like I said, you'll be pretty hard pressed to find something that you couldn't find anything on there, like that didn't tickle your fancy, kind of thing, or what you're in the mood for. So I've broke it down into some categories tonight. So basically I've got favourite horror films, favourite anthology, and favourite docos. So the two favourite movies is Jacob's Wife and the Mortuary Collection. The other two out of that were a close second was Monstrum from South Korea and Yummy from Finland. And so Monstrum is a creature feature horror film set in feudal South Korea. Pretty much, I wondered if they used the same set from The Kingdom for this, because it's exactly the same. Like, if you watch Kingdom and then you walk out the room and someone chucked on Monstrum, you'd get confused. You'd think it's the actual same film. Like, it's I'm interested to see if it'd be very cost effective if they just use the same props or the same locations for this movie. Yummy was a really great Finnish zombie film, extraordinarily gory. And that's why I really dug it. It really went back to zombie films again. Like, it's and this is what I'm finding from international films. Like, I've heard it referred to as, coloured by numbers, or, stuff like that with these horror films and the blueprints, and it's exactly the same, or cookie cutter horror film kind of making. And then you've got these international directors that have come in, and I think internationally, like, different cultures will view a horror genre differently, and so with them coming in with a new kind of angle or cultural angle of what a horror film would be, they seem to do a better version of paying homage to it, or just creating their own standout film. And more and more, I've seen this in the last couple of years, that international horror films are starting to really overtake Hollywood, like way overtake them in the terror aspect. And, some people might get shitty because it's a foreign movie and they don't want to read subtitles. But I mean, if they can get over that, and you really get into what's going down, there's been a fantastic Polish movie, Nobody Sleeps in the Woods Tonight, or No One Sleeps in the Woods Tonight. Fuck, that movie knocked my pants off. Like, and I was like, with the gore, the story plot, how it happened, and I was just like, fucking clap Poland. Like, this is like, well done. This is going to be my Polish film that I'm reviewing. Like, this was really, really phenomenal, and it proves my point exactly, where these international horror films are kind of really sticking it to Hollywood big time, saying, like, they've grown up watching these films heavily influenced by these Western horror films, and then they've gone and done it themselves and done it better. So good on them. That's really great. So definitely get behind and start checking out some international horror titles, because I tell you, as a horror fan, you're gonna really, really get like creeped out, and you're kind of saying, thank God horror's back, but funnily enough, it's just not in English. So there you go. I've done the outside of the anthology for the Mortuary Collection was Creepshow. So the TV show Creepshow, this was the primary reason why I got Shudder, right? If you know me, I'm a Tales of the Crypt man. I love Vault of Horror. Like, this was Creepshow. This is my jam, right? So when I got Creepshow, I was really super nervous about the TV. I thought, I hope they do it justice. I saw the Crypt Keeper, how they were going with that angle. I was a bit nervous initially, and then when I saw it flesh out onto the show, I was like, thank God. So it was a really good version, and I was impressed with it. So going into it, I was kind of relieved. These stories, with anthologies, as you would get, there would be one story that's weaker than the other. They're all strong. This is a strong clan of horror, like puppies. Like, there's no runts in this one. Like, they're all really, really solid performers. And so I'm hanging out for season 2, just waiting for all the episodes to accumulate, and then I'll just do a bit of a big sit and check out the creep shows one afternoon. So that's my anthology choices for Shudder. Now I'm going to move on to the docos. So the docos, there's quite a few, and so the one that really jumped out that I enjoyed was the Unearthed and Untold Path of Pet Sematary. So this is the doco about the making of Pet Sematary, Stephen King's Pet Sematary from the 90s, and it's really great to see the actors and actresses from this movie talking about, bar some that have passed away, but talking about their experiences on the set and how the movie was made, and interviewed the director, and it was really, really good. So I really dug it. Being a documentary nut myself, like in pretty much any genre, you get a real kick out of these horror docos, because it goes into, it talks about the genre that I love the most, but it's a doco about how they made the movie and stuff. So I'm just kind of like geeking out big time with this stuff. So yeah, that was, so History of Horror is the next one with Eli Roth. So he sits down with Nicotero and with Rob Zombie, and they talk about, they've got it in sections. So they've got slashers, vampires, zombies, ghosts, and they just pretty much go through all the TV shows and movies that they remember and how that kind of genre started. So they do a bit of a history dive into that. There's 3 guys around a table. It's set up really, really cool, and it's great to listen to all of them. I'd listen to these guys read out the fucking yellow pages, so it's pretty interesting to see them go through with all this stuff. So it's pretty cool. The next one is Cursed Films. So this was interesting. So this doco covers Poltergeist, The Omen, the Twilight Zone, which I didn't know was deemed as a cursed deal. So when I saw that episode, I was actually quite shocked about what happened. I wasn't aware of this at all involving Landis. I was like, holy crap. Now that I know, I was kind of like a bit shocked. Yeah, so that was an unfortunate event that occurred. So he talked about Poltergeist, The Exorcist, The Omen, and The Twilight Zone. So these were the ones that were the thing. The Exorcist I knew of. Like, I've had a very odd relationship with The Exorcist growing up, and it was kind of my suck it up and man up and watch it movie. It's funny. It's kind of like the movie that you make in your head as opposed to the actual film itself is quite, it's quite unusual. I'm a Catholic, so growing up watching hearing about The Exorcist, seeing pictures about The Exorcist, is just this fucking big deal. Like, this was the like the fucking Titanic of like horror films, like that you didn't watch, or not that I couldn't watch it. So I didn't say, no one ever said to me you can't watch this. This is like blah blah blah. The devil's gonna enter your brain, that kind of shit. No one was that weird about it. It just scared me. Like and like I said, it was that not the Mandela effect, but it kind of, you build that movie in your head. It's like the super hyped up Star Wars fans that watched, that can't sit down and enjoy a new Star Wars film because they build this Star Wars movie in their head and then they go there and they get pissed off because it's not what they wanted. So this is kind of what happened with me in The Exorcist. And one day I just sucked it up. And what I did was I actually watched The Exorcist series fucking backwards. Like, so I went like Exorcist 3 and I could like lean down and kind of eased into the first one. And look, I watched it. I thought it was great. The devil didn't get me, and or fucking hope not. I don't know, but like I really, it was good for the movie that it was. Yeah, I could see why some shit was shocking to some people back in the 70s. Like, oh my god, didn't offend me or anything like that. I wasn't outraged. I was just, I was like, okay, this is, wow, like. In the 70s, I get it. This would have freaked out a lot of people, like, for sure. So, and it's still claimed to be one of the best horror films ever made, and now I know why. The other thing that I saw was some of the behind-the-scenes footage, how they made it, and I just fucking dug that. It was so good, especially the scene just prior to her sitting on a crucifix. There was the kind of the room blows everywhere with all the debris and all that, and it shows you like the machines that they used to create it, and like to shake the bed, and how they put some camera above Linda Blair, and like it was just so good how they did all that. So that kind of helped me disassociate, the kind of religious side of that, like that made it less scary for me anyway. So for me to enjoy it, but no, it was all good. I love it. It's a great horror film. I still enjoy it. I like it for what it is, and so all good. So that was interesting. So then when I was watching cursed films, and so I knew about how they were saying that this had invited some dark spirits onto the set, and there was this kind of ominous kind of feeling. So when I was reading all this before watching the movie and having my religious background, I was creeped out by it. But then you get older, you kind of shit stops kind of scaring you after a while, and you put on your pants and big boy pants and you watch it. So it was all good. So the Cursed movie doco was phenomenal, and like I said, didn't know about the stuff of the Twilight Zone, and that really knocked me for a 6. I was really sad by that, and I was like, holy shit. And that's really why the union started in the film industry, like, because that was so fucking dodgy, and 2 kids died because of it. So that was terrible. Good doco on that. The other one, and I went on a bit of a tangent, so I apologize about that. So Horror Noir is the next one, and this one really, really, really enjoyed it. And this was the history of African American horror. So one, how African Americans are portrayed in horror films since the 20s, as you can imagine. So between now and to now, so 100 years of cinema of misrepresentation of the African American population, and anything African really, like it was massively racist, like all the way through. And then just the way the characters were written in, the way the characters were killed off, like all the time, without fail, African American guy got killed first, like, or the woman got killed first. It was just, that's how it was. And it was funny. I noticed the shift in Scream. I think it was Scream 2, and the girl at the start, she goes, "Oh well, you know, this black character's got to die first," like kind of thing, and they started to acknowledge it, and I think this was the point where it started to turn, like in cinema, and if you pay attention to that comment and then notice all the horror films after, especially Scary Movie took the piss out of this, like something to the point. It took the piss so much that I think other directors were like, okay, we better not start killing African American cast members off first because it's gonna play to this joke. Like, and they became more socially aware about it. But then they started to change because, as we know, things changed, and that's how it went socially. So, this doco, really, really great. So you got like Pamela Grier, you got Samuel Jackson, like all these guys get together and they talk about their experiences on horror movie sets or being portrayed in a certain way as a character, how they thought about their characters, and more importantly now, how Jordan Peele is starting to like lead this charge of like literally turning the racism Titanic on this. And doing a really great job and coming out with some phenomenal horror films. You know, them, us, it's amazing. Like how it's, and I'm just looking forward to more and more stuff as he comes out. So, really great doco, phenomenal. It ended really, like I was so into it. So when I ended, I was really bummed out, and it's been a long time since a documentary had that effect on me. So yeah, definitely check it out. Definitely worth it. Cool. So yeah, that's I've got my horror list on here. So basically, my list is a whole mixture of mixed docos, crypt, Tales of the Crypt. There's some good ones that I've got in here that I'm looking forward to. Fried Barry. Looking forward to Teddy as well. It's a French werewolf movie. That looks pretty cool. There's a 70s Horror Express that's out. Super Deep looks really good as well. That's kind of like creature under the thing. You've got the Wreck series that I've put on there. Color of Space with Nicolas Cage. I still keep missing this. So when it came up, I thought, right, bang, that's it. So I've got that in my title to see next. And I've also got Anything for Jackson as well that I'm super keen on checking out. There's a lot of, there's some different, comedy horror in this as well. So yeah, looking forward to getting into some comedy horror as well. So yeah, cool. Look, that's really kind of the blah 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 about Shudder. So yeah, I hope you kind of go with it. Leave your comments if you got it. Tell me how you feel about Shudder. Like, do you like it? You don't like it? Like, you're not resubscribing? Anything like that? It would be good to have a chat about it. So yeah, another really good doco actually to check out on this is In Search for Darkness 1 and 2. This is amazing. Like, I've got both DVD. I'll put the order in so you get the promotional stuff with it. You get your name in the credits, that kind of stuff. And so I got the 2 DVDs sent out. It's now available on Shudder 1 and 2. And this is like a 2-hour doco each on horror titles, like going through all the classics from the 70s and 80s. So a must, an absolute must to check out if you're into that. So you'll get to see some 70s and 80s titles that you probably have thought of but forgot to watch, like, or you haven't seen in such a long time, and it reminds you about these movies. You're like, damn, I've got to go back out and check that film out again. There was a lot of that going on. So I've written down quite a list of stuff for me to check out. So very, very good, very worth your while. Cool. So let's get stuck into the 2 movies. So last year, when I think it was in October the 15th, the Mortuary Collection came out for Halloween, and stars Clancy Brown, and it also stars Caitlin Custer, or Custer, I should say, sorry. And these are the 2 main characters in the show, in the movie. It's an anthology series. And Sam, the character, goes to the mortuary and is answering a help wanted sign at the mortuary. So it's designed in that old school 1900s. The parlor at the front is where you viewed the body. I think that's why they actually call it the living room, if I'm not mistaken. It's not where your plasma TV and your freaking beer cup holding lounge goes. Like it's 100 and something years ago. That's where your coffin was. Like, and people went to go and have a gawk at you, like, and eat a cracker, or have a scone or something over your dead booty. And so yeah, I listened to it in some another podcast talked about it, so I thought it was quite funny. So this is an old Victorian style 1900s, late 1800s mansion. Fucking loved this house. When it's a museum in Oregon. It's very colourful. I looked it up on Google. It looks very nice. But mate, if I won the lottery and they were like, "Here's Joe, what house would you like?" I'd be like, "That one," and I'd paint it black and grey. Like, I'd make it the most gothic looking fucking house in the suburbs, and yeah, that would be my dream kind of house. So yeah, as a bit of a horror writer, I would love to live in that house. That'd be so good, such a great inspiration. And so this house, very creepy. Like the design, even internally, like I was just in love with this house. Like the library, the dark furniture, the LED light windows, the desk, like it was all dimly lit. Like it was perfect. It was so good. So basically, it's a collection of. So you got Montgomery Dark, played by Clancy Brown, and he tells a collection of cautionary tales to Sam, and through this movie. So and kind of like a Tales of the Creep story, he begins the story. You see visually the story, then the story ends, and it goes back to Sam and Mortuary Dark at a desk or in the morgue, or the location of the room changes, like with the story. So there's a collection of stories. They all link. The stories don't link, but the characters in the stories link up. So, and I think it's the second to last one where you start to notice characters from the previous one are in this one. So it kind of flows, and then the last story flows into the end of the movie, and I can't really divulge that because I'll spoil the film, so I don't want to do that. So I'll kind of go through as far as I can, and then I'll have to stop because I don't want to spoil the movie for you if you haven't already seen it. I encourage you to see it. This is an easily 8 out of 10 for me, easy all day long. So these cautionary tales, one's set kind of like in the 50s, the other one I believe is, I don't know if they go by like I can't tell. Like it's even when you're with Montgomery Dark and Sam, you don't know what decade it is. It's kind of that that bizarre thing. Like at once, I got really confused because one stage the kitchen looked like the 50s, but I heard an answering machine, and I was like, "What?" Like, and I don't know if. Yeah, it kind of threw me off, and then there was a TV involved, and the TV was old, and I was like, "Hang on, there was no answering machine in the 50s, so how did this kind of?" It was kind of bizarre. It kind of threw me off a little bit. It's not a rage quit moment, but it just kind of confused me. I thought, okay, are they just retro enthusiasts and they decked out the house because they like rockabilly? Like I couldn't understand it, but outside there was old cars and stuff, so it kind of threw me off a little bit, but nothing too bad. So that was my only kind of minor gripe, if you want to call it. So yeah, cautionary tales, the first one, but the main character of each story is the person that gets the comeuppance in this one. So I thought, okay, there's a bit of a thing going on here where the person in the story is actually the bad person. So I thought, okay, where they're going with this, and then kind of the movie reveals itself at the end. The CG is done quite well. I really enjoyed the CG, and again, the stories were very clever in how they were laid out, how they were presented. The plot twists in the story. See, I can't really go into depth with the story either because the plot twist will start to kind of, an old wreck it and end up spoiling it. So definitely recommend. Some great ghost stories in there. Some great creature ones as well. One involves a succubus. It's very, very clever. Like, very, very clever how it's all done. So that was my pick for last year, and this year was Jacob's Wife. Now, this one jumped in, and I didn't expect it to impress me like it did. It only had one thing that I didn't like, and that was how the vampire's makeup was done. It essentially, and Bonnie Aarons, the woman who gave us The Nun, does a phenomenal job playing the master vampire in this one. Only problem is, it's like they've grabbed her. They said, quick, it's book week. We've got to dress you up tomorrow for school. And they basically grabbed her and dunked her head first into a bucket of paper mache and just went, right, you're now a fucking great vampire, see you later. And it just didn't suit well. So I don't know what was going on there, like with that, and why that was the choice visually of their vampire. But having said that, the rest of the movie is quite strong. The storyline, the plot, the comedy, the gore is phenomenal. So that's kind of forgiven if you add up all the rest of that together, and it's a phenomenal movie. It's very, very well done. So Jacob's Wife is just basically, Barbara Crampton. She plays Anne. We've got Larry Fessenden, sorry. Now he looked like Jack Nicholson. I was like thrown. I didn't say it was Jack Nicholson. I was like, is this guy related to him? Because like the forehead, the eyebrows, nose, the little lip, how it goes, and I was just like, geez Louise, like I find that fascinating sometimes when I see someone that they just genetically look like somebody but there's no relation. Like, I just like, wow, that's really cool. And it's the case with Larry. Like, he looks like Jack Nicholson. Like, he plays the minister, Minister Jacob, and Anne is his wife. And they've been married for about 30 years. And because of his kind of religious constraints on how he behaves, this has taken a massive toll on his marriage, and like sexually, physically, nothing is going on, and we're as viewers, we come to that 30-year point where she's like, I need a bone. Like, that's pretty much how to say it. And she is like massively like depressed / sexually frustrated, and so we get him congregating at the start of the film. We get a member of the congregation goes missing, and we kind of all these kind of the vampire attacks in this are a nod to Salem's Lot, right down to the poster. Like, you've got the poster's kind of like Salem's Lot / Fright Night. So the Fright Night is the building with the vampire screaming in the back in the clouds at night time. Is where the Jacob's I almost said Jacob's Ladder. The church and the vampire screaming in the back is kind of similar to Fright Night. So it's that, but the actual vampire itself, the design is it's like Salem's Lot, really. And you got Bonnie Aarons, doing her best screamy, I'm gonna rip your throat out face. So it's great. So that's your kind of nods, homages to Salem's Lot and to Fright Night there. In no way, shape or form has... it was written and directed by Travis Stevens, so in no way, shape or form has this guy ripped anything off. These are just homages and nods, for sure, to these two great movies. So you've got a parishioner goes missing... and then the next day she gets in contact, and her long lost kind of flame / love, played by Robert Russler. So we know him as the friend from Nightmare on Elm Street 2, the main character. I forgot his name, but he gets killed, I think, in the later part of it's the scene where Freddy comes out of the guy, literally. So tears out of the main character. So he's in this one. So by this stage, I was going, wow, they've really, Travis has really kind of pulled some like classic '80s horror icons like to be in this film, and then by adding Bonnie Aarons as your kind of villain or villainess, I was like, okay, this is interesting. I want to see how this goes. And look, to be honest, there's no way it's going to be a shit film with Bonnie involved. So I was just and Barbara Crampton. So I thought, okay, that was kind of my safety blanket, knowing that this was going to be a pretty decent movie. Like, and I was proved right. So anyway, so basically the story goes, she goes to meet up with this long lost flame. She's absolutely chomping at the bit. Like, at this point, you could tell she's so sexually frustrated. This guy could just like sneeze on her and she'll just fucking mount him. So like, she was like that at that point. She even tried to say like, oh, I'm meeting up with Tom. Like, so she was suggesting that like this meetup was going to happen, and the minister just kind of blew it off, going, oh yeah, well, just say hi for me, kind of thing. So you could tell that she was so annoyed, because she was just like, can't you even like get fucking jealous? Like, what does it matter with you? Like, there's just no response, and I kind of felt, and she addressed it, and I agree with her, he was kind of like using his religion as an excuse to almost end the relationship, because he wants out as well, but he just doesn't have the balls to say it. Or it's for him, it would be a sin. But at the same time, after the religious explanation would be basically he's fucking too gutless to say that the relationship's fucked. I want to end it, kind of thing. So he's using his religion and his position as an excuse to kind of get her to move away, and to essentially push her into the arms of Tom, which actually happens. Like, so, he goes to this, they go to this property to talk about this business venture, and he makes a pass and says, I came here because of you, and I'm still thinking about you, and he leans in for a kiss, and well, like I said, fucking, she just totally reciprocates the kiss. They're about to bone until the until the fucking vampire like cracks the party. I'm just like, poor Anne. God, she can't even get her leg up. Like, she can't even mount this guy, and the vampire's like trashing the party. I'm like, give her 5 minutes, mate. Like, and then eat her. But like, let her get eaten, and then eat her. Like, give her a break. Like, jeez. So anyway, so Tom goes to like suss out what's going on. He gets attacked, she gets attacked, and this is kind of how Jacob's wife kind of kicks. So, and then the majority of the movie is just her kind of realizing her power, her changing like physically and also mentally as well, just like how she's become more confident, more like she's not timid, she's not meek, she's not repressed by her, religious rules, restraints, this kind of stuff. She really breaks free from that. This is definitely noticed by the super uptight minister, and he thinks that something's going on with his wife, and like, what's going on. So he goes to investigate, and in ordering to do this in a roundabout way, he finds the person that goes missing. He finds that there's vampires now, and this kind of blows his fucking mind, because he's just it's now he's dealing with a real life evil. He doesn't know, kind of he's really struggling like with reality, kind of thing, and because this tests everything that he's been taught. So there's that aspect. So then when the master's revealed, this is what I really dug about the film. So the whole entire time you're like, the master, and you think blah blah blah, but you're not twigging it's a chick, like, and it's Bonnie, like, and I'm thinking that's so well done. Like, that's the nod to Salem's Lot, but Count Olaf is or Olaf, or fuck, I hope that's not Frozen. Anyway, I think it is Olaf or Karloff or anyway. So moving on, he, like, that nod is to the just the makeup, how he is the nod to Salem's Lot. So I thought that was good, but he's just changed the gender of the master vampire is now female, which I thought was fantastic. I thought it was great. special effects makeup for her was shit. Like, but that concept was fantastic, and I really dug it. And you just got to see, like, but this movie. So in between this period, you've got these fantastic elements of gore, like, and I mean, fucking blood spraying, heads ripping off, and it just doesn't match the pace of this film, because when it happens, it really gets your attention, and that's what I love about it. It's really great. And so when the next attack happens, you're thinking, oh shit, what's going to go on now, man? Because I've seen the last one. What the fuck are they going to do with this one? And they match it, like, and you're thinking, jeez, like, you know, and that's what I loved about it. Every kind of kill in this thing is just as brutal as the next one, and they really lay it back. And the vampire kind of destroying, you know, staking, and how the body reacts is just hilarious in this one. And yeah, so I'll leave it at that. It reminds me of something, but yeah, I'm gonna leave it at that. So it's not the usual staking and the dust exploding way that they died. But if you want to know what I thought, you could write to me and I can tell you. We can have a laugh about it. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I'll keep it PG. And so yeah, so that sense, you know, when that happens, it's quite funny. So there's this kind of two. You got horror and you got comedy, and it's flowing together quite well. And then, you know, it just doesn't skip a beat. It flows well. The comedy's good, the horror's good, and it just bundles up really well. So when it comes to the end of the film, you're actually like, yeah, geez, I really dug that. Like, and that's my feeling at the end of the film. So for me, this is an 8 out of 10 as well. It was really well done. I was actually quite surprised that I liked it as much. I didn't think I was going to like it. I just took to it as an independent horror film with Barbara Crampton in it. I knew it wasn't going to be shit, but at the same time, I wasn't thinking it was going to be the most blockbuster horror film ever created. So, yeah, and because I kind of came in with that mindset, it paid off, and I enjoyed it for what it was. And you'll enjoy it too. I think it's really good. Definitely check it out. It's very, very cool. It's very, very cool. I liked it. So cool. Okie dokie. So that's my 2 movie reviews for Shudder. Yeah, check it out. If you Google onto Shudder, like I said, it's $65 for the year. You get, you know, docos, movies. You get a Shudder channel if you don't want to pick anything, and you just want to watch any random kind of horror film being played. Check it out. It's got a good collection of international films on there as well. Check that out too. You'll like it. There's something for everyone. You won't be leaving disappointed. You won't be going, oh, geez, it's a waste of money. So you enjoy it. If I didn't like it, I wouldn't be talking about it. So there you go. Cool. Anyway, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. It's not a 2-hour, 2-hour one. I was kind of like, I got what is it now? Like 48 minutes or something. So yeah, I was super conscious about not banging on for 2 hours. I think that would, I think that people would be like, oh my God. So if you do want to check out the episode for the Fear Street trilogy, for the first 40 minutes, it's Matt talking about 1994. The next 40 minutes is Scott talking about 78, and then me talking about 1666. So the time splits up between the two. Yeah, so hope you enjoy it. You can listen to it on the podcast version. You can also watch it on YouTube as well. So there's 2 versions to check it out. This episode is going to be, it's already out on Spotify. I've done a different version of it, and I've just done the YouTube version of it now. So cool. Excellent. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Like and subscribe on the YouTube channel, and write any comments below on the YouTube channel. You can write and sign up to the Adelaide Horror fucking hell. The Adelaide Horror Podcast. I'm just, oh geez. The Adelaide Horror Podcast on Facebook, the Facebook group, and on Instagram as well. And yeah, cool. Thanks for that. And cool. So there you go. Have a great night. Stay scary, and I'll see you in the crypt.
Adelaide Horror Podcast with Zombie Joe. ha ha!